Oh, Jesus. Oh, ooh. Oh, me. I will quit because obviously I'm not supposed to be doing this, and obviously I've been cursed and something's gone wrong with me. Today I am starting a new project. It is going to be the second piece in my Spring Garden Fairy Collection stained glass collection. I just finished the first one. I'm fairly happy with how this piece turned out. It's not one of my favorites actually. I like the design a lot, but I made it really complicated. One of the reasons I'm not very happy with it is because when there's smaller pieces, I get sloppier. It's harder to cut, it's harder to get exact, it's harder to connect, the soldering doesn't look as good. Put together a little collage in Microsoft Word for inspiration and ideas for the whole project. And I am going to make something that looks like this. I really like this teacup. There's a bunch of pictures on Pinterest that look similar to this. I'll find who the original artist of this teacup one is. But I love all of the different colored stars coming out of this teacup. I really love it, and the colors are really calling to me. And I think especially this would be a really great use of a bunch of my scraps of glass that I really do not make good use of. So let's get started with drawing the first draft of what this could look like. So as soon as I started trying to draw this pattern by hand, I noticed two things that were basically immediately going wrong. The first is that these stars I am drawing are pretty terrible. And the next one is that the normal shape of stars I'm trying to use are not going to work for this pattern. If I was going to try to cut a beautiful star, I wouldn't be able to get this as a corner. I would have to round it out, and that's also how the grinder works, because the grinder is a rounded edge. So it would end up looking more like this. Not necessarily a deal breaker. So to get around this very obvious, in hindsight, star issue, I just found a star with kind of rounded edges from Google Images, and I cut, copy, pasted, and rotated it a bunch of times. Oh, this looks like a nightmare already. I might print out another one and try to get less pieces in the bottom, because it's looking like a headache right now. Okay, I think I've gotten to my final design. This is in fact not my final design. I did print out the pattern again. I removed some of the stars. I know it's not really possible to tell the difference just looking at it. To spare some heartache down the road, the pattern piece you are looking at now is not the final one that will be used, but out of frustration from several redesigns, I did not even record it when I finally got to a final project piece. But once I did, I repeated this process of laminating the paper with package tape to keep out any oil and water that would get into it during the process. And with this, we have reached the end of day one working on this project. Welcome to day 2 of the project. I've just finished cutting this, turning it into these 3 baggies here. I definitely have some pieces that are too small, but it'll be another beautiful learning lesson about why I shouldn't make pattern pieces like this. This one I usually use, this is like I think I usually use this for hair, brown hair obviously. So I might keep this around and use this one because I don't have a ton of usage for it. We'll see. And I kind of like, even though it's super ripply, I kind of like that for tea. Give it some texture. It's like opaly, there's a little bit of brown, swirls, textures throughout. Yeah, this would be good for the teacup. Now let's take a look around for some of the colors. So I was wanting to use orange, yellow, blue, green, and purple. Pretty. So here's a little piece of orange, might be able to use that. Another little bitty piece. I think I've got my colors laid out that I will be going forward with. There we go. All right, let's get cutting. I'm going to start cutting with the teacup and the white glass. This is where my downfall really begins with this project. I've sped up the clip, but this is my attempt at cutting the first two pieces for the project, and it is just not breaking. I'm using all my tools, and it is not budging. And then when it finally does break, so that didn't go to plan. I broke this part off over here. I do remember from the last time I used this glass, it wasn't the easiest to cut. Valiantly, I tried to continue cutting the one piece that did not break when disaster strikes yet again. That's not ideal. Oh man, this is off to a bad start. Oh, fuck me. Of course that. I should have known that was gonna happen. Even when I was not outright breaking the pieces in half, I was still producing some very ugly cuts. Alright, didn't really cut, just crumbled, but whatever. I've only been at this for like 30 minutes, but basically every single step I've tried to do today, I have messed up and broken glass. At least I don't currently have any cuts. So I'm gonna clean up the shambles behind me. I guess I will be back on day 3 of this project after a very failure-filled day 2. Okay, it's been about a week since I worked on this, but I'm back for day 3 of my project with basically 0 progress made from day 2. I have these 2 very poorly cut out pieces, and I'm just gonna start over here. Whoops, bad start. Jesus. Okay. I feel cursed. Like, why did that happen? But it did break, and it did not break into the area. So here's this. Gently pull. Oh, the tip came off. Oh my god, what is wrong with me? Ooh. Oh my god. Okay, I'm switching glass. This is too much for me. A really nice cut was going on. It was going okay, and now look what just happened. I'm gonna cry. I don't remember ever having this much carnage trying to cut glass. It's just not working. I'm gonna switch to a white that I used for my rabbit glass. Looks a little cloudy. I'm sure it'll look cute with this. I'm just like at a loss. Like, look at the ravages that I have made. All of this cutting for nothing. I like destroyed this piece of glass. I think this is the glass I used for my bunnies, but it should be enough if cutting does not go as poorly as it did before. If cutting does go similarly with this glass, I will quit, because obviously I'm not supposed to be doing this, and obviously I've been cursed and something's gone wrong with me. So let's see what happens. Let's start with the biggest piece. Looks like it'll fit right over here pretty well. Look at that beautiful pull. This is already going a lot better. Let's bang around in this. Oh, fuck me. Ah! We're gonna go again. This is gonna be the hardest one. This one and one other, so I'm gonna keep high spirits right now because it is going to be made out of this glass one way or another. Literally right after I said I'm not gonna get too greedy, and I'm cutting right on the line. Okay, this isn't my last try getting greedy. So far, so good. Alright, still going okay. We're getting close. God, my hand's shaking. I'm nervous. Okay, we did it. Alright, this is already so much better, so that's hopeful. Let's move on to the next hardest piece. Boom. Okay, this doesn't look too bad, but I don't want to jinx myself. Fuck! Oh my god. Okay. One break for hard piece is allowed. Last cut. Don't go wrong. Okay, made it through over here. God bless. I have gotten all of the white teacup pieces cut, which means I am not cursed. I am just sometimes not good at cutting glass, which is okay. That is something I can accept. So, okay, my roommates come home and we are moving outside to do our stained glass. She's been working on a project and I've taught her how to do stained glass in the past couple months. So we're both gonna work together. She's on the grinding phase, I'm still in the cutting phase. We are going to find out just how challenging it is to cut this glass. That one went pretty easy, but that was a straight cut. Okay, so cutting out the tea went better than I could have expected. It was actually so easy to cut, even though it's so textured. The hard part was that I have made tiny pieces, but the glass itself cut beautifully, cut like a dream. So I couldn't really be happier about that. Now I'm gonna go back outside and start cutting the stars. I anticipate there's gonna be a lot of heartbreak here with the stars. Because there are 5 concave edges to all of them. And as we saw with the teacup, I am not really on my game for cutting the concave edges, so we'll see what's gonna happen. Okay, I am back inside, all cleaned up outside, and I have all of my pieces cut. The stars, all of them, need a lot of grinding. I had some missteps with these guys, but they're roughly star shaped, so I think it'll be okay. The grinding stage, it will be yet again another battle, but I will win the war. My roommate made a lot of progress on her project. So hers is looking great. It's super cute. She came up with the design herself. I love it. Successful day. I am tired. It is probably obvious. So I will see you again on day 4 of this project. I believe this will be the start of day 4 for the project. And I am going to start grinding today. I'm going to make sure to definitely keep the grinding process slow. And not so I can avoid making mistakes because of all the small tight fits going on here. So I'm going to see how much I get through. One of the other big mistakes that I made in this project, well, I feel like this whole thing is just like a series of failures of this whole project. But a big mistake that I made was that I didn't label the pieces before I put the clear package tape over it. And so I wrote over the tape and wrote in Sharpie on them. And those have already started rubbing off. And so many of these pieces are identical and like not really easy to distinguish from each other. So that, I don't even know the last time I made that mistake. I don't know if I ever have. So that's going to be an issue. Also, FYI, I don't film any grinding stuff because it's just so messy and like not very pretty to look at. So I'll maybe check in throughout the process, maybe see how far I get today. This is one of the few parts of today's process that I did record, which is me outlining in Sharpie the pattern pieces.
so that if they fall off or move around, I still know where to grind down to.
Okay, I've got all the markings done now, so it's time to set up the grinder. I'm just pouring water into the base. You can hear it fizzing. Here's my beautiful grinder shield that keeps some of this flying debris out of the rest of my room. Turning it on. It is day 5 of the project. I did not check in at the end of yesterday, but I will show you where we are at today and the grinding progress that was made on the previous workday. Some rough grinding done. It is not, all this is not finished with grinding. There are some gaps, some misfits that I'd like to fit in a little better. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how it's looking.
Just like for the previous day, I did not film any of the grinding process for today, so this is the end of day 4/5.
I have finished the grinding process and I'm actually really happy with how it's looking right now. Things are a little bit wonky in the teacup, but I knew they would be. Here we go. It's all dirty right now. I haven't given the pieces their bath, which is the next stop in the process, but it looks manageable soldering wise in this area, which is all I was going for, all I could hope for. And the star tower leading up I think looks really good and really cute. And then I have this extra star that I plan to like dangle out the side of the cup like a tea bag, you know? So next up, I will be giving them a bath. I'll just be scrubbing them with a toothbrush to get rid of all of the glass dust and sludge that comes from the grinder. The grinding was not fun. Actually, that's not true. I mean, it wasn't fun, but it was not hard. I kind of forgot just how itty bitty these pieces are and how little there actually is to grind, which makes it go so fast. So even though there's a lot of really small pieces in here, it wasn't that much of a pain because there wasn't a ton of material I needed to grind away, which is always the most annoying to me. This is the setup I have. So I'll be taking the pieces one by one very carefully so I do not lose them. Here, wash them with the bath and some cleaner, and then moving them over to the paper towel, drying them, and going to set it up over here and keep it in place. So let's get to scrubbing.
Now, bath time is preferable to grinding for me, but neither are very interesting processes to look at. So here's just a few clips of the process. Once all the pieces have been scrubbed, I put them all back together just because I think it is satisfying to look at, and I do it in super speed.
So bath time is over and they are looking clean, beautiful, dust-free. So now I'm working on the next step, which is copper foiling. This is copper somehow on the outside, and on the inside it is sticker paper. So you wrap it around the edges of the stained glass piece that you are working on, and then this is what allows you to actually reconnect the pieces in the next step, the soldering step. This has been going better than I thought it would, and it's not been as hard as I thought it would be, and it's looking better than I thought it would, so I am happy about that. So this is the copper foiled piece. The stars look a little wonky, but I kind of like how they look. They don't all match. I feel brain dead. It is day 6? Day 5? I've lost track. It's day something. And I have some more foiling to do. This is where we are. Here are my stars I still need to do. For now, come join me while I put some more tape on this stained glass. What is this? I'm like getting a crotch shot. So while I'm foiling, I can talk about how I got into stained glass, when and where. It was during COVID times. I was living out in Colorado for a little bit. I didn't have any friends, didn't really know anyone, So I was mostly using like Hinge as all of my social interaction. I was starting to realize that I didn't really have any hobbies. The only things I really did during college with my friends, we'd just eat and drink a lot. We'd go to restaurants and we'd go out. I didn't know things I liked anymore. It felt boring when I'd go out with people. I think I was 21 at this time, like so pretty newly 21. I decided I was going to start trying to find hobbies, find things I like. I think it definitely started as like me not wanting to be boring, me wanting to be an interesting person. But I found so much joy in these hobbies. I honestly don't know how it got into my head that I'd be interested in stained glass. It was probably, maybe I just saw someone on TikTok doing it and was like, that looks so cool. Something about me is I do love like working with my hands. I love little tools. I love machinery. I love being able to put things together and have a little bit of creativity in the process. Stained glass just kind of seemed perfect. Like the amount of creativity where you get to make your design, but you don't need necessarily like a super technical or innate art skill like drawing or painting, which I know you can learn and get better at, but neither of those had ever stuck out to me. I saw like modern stained glass. I think I'd been familiar with like church window stained glass, but I had no idea like that you can make like silly little things like these. I made my first piece of stained glass, which was this little rainbow egg I have over here that I still love and still have hanging up. Finding little things that bring you joy and make you feel proud of yourself is a really great thing that I'm glad I put some time in and invested in early on in my 20s. Because now I'm in my late 20s. I wonder if I'm the only person so self-absorbed that they got hobbies because they were self-conscious they didn't have any. But I promise it's very genuine now. Not that it wasn't genuine in the start, but my motivation's a little silly. So that's my story about how I got into stained glass. Hello, it is day something or other. I have completely lost track. The copper foiling is all completed. I think it's looking nice. For now, I'm just going to start soldering those little star pieces on the outside. This might be the last day of the project, which it would be huge. So let's get to it. So this design in this piece really reminds me of Howl's Moving Castle, which I just read the book for the first time, but I've seen the movie a couple times before. But it reminds me of the beautiful flower garden, flower fields from the end of the movie, and also like the dancing stars. So that's why I feel like it's a good fit for the whimsical spring that I'm trying to create with this collection. So all the pieces I am making for my spring fairy garden collection, the real root of it is I want them to be whimsical and feel light and uplifting. All together, like at least this one and the first piece I made, the duckling one, I don't think they're gonna like look like they're meant to be together that much. So maybe with some of the pieces I'm undecided about so far, I can try to kind of serve as connecting pieces. I used to be obsessed with Project Runway when I was little. Love Project Runway, wanted to be a fashion designer, how they would have to, I don't remember if it was always or is it just at the end of the season when they would have to make like a collection of pieces. They were all supposed to fit together and I thought it seemed so fun. So that's kind of what I'm doing with this, with stained glass. I know collections are not that crazy of an idea and they're all over the art world, but that's kind of where I'm thinking of, is like I'm setting myself the challenge. I am Tim Gunn and I'm also the designers. Okay, I have gotten the whole thing soldered. It's not pretty, but I'm happy with it. I added little bubble drops of the solder where the stars connect. It's all holding together, so that's nice. The back, atrocious. It's a mess back there. I forgot about one thing that I always forget about, which is attaching. The way you're hanging it, I need to do that. So I have the star attached and then I attach the hanger, but we do have a small issue. Is it gonna do it? Which means it's too heavy up here. I don't love the overall look with this coming out. I feel like it really takes away from the stars standing up by themselves. Let me get my suction cup out. Fuck. Then on the back, I'm gonna go tight across, basically like a picture wire. I don't know how obvious the bizarreness is from over here, but it's like plunging out of the wall this way. I have like a pretty ugly idea in mind. I could attach 2 suction cups coming off this way, like right here and here, but it's pretty ugly. Okay, I have come to the conclusion for the stability of the project that I'm going to do the double suction cup, which I really don't like the look of. I knew this was going to be an issue from the very beginning, how I was going to hang it, and I chose not to address it and to figure that I would figure it out when I got to this point, but I have not. Okay, this is it. It is a mess, but I think it's very pretty. I like it, I'm fond of it. I would have a ton of notes if I were to redo this again. I definitely would not go higher than probably this star. It is weak up here, so I am worried that it will break, but I could make a second one of these a lot better. There would be a ton of things I would take out. I would take out this white band and just have this whole thing be T instead of white. I actually think that would look better too. Hanging though, I still don't know about. If I were to remake this, I would research, I know you can like do like wire support. So if there's a way for me to like have a wire on the back of the stars that would support it, that could be very helpful. There's gotta be some redesign that would make hanging this possible, but I really like it. I think it's really cute. Next, I'll be making a video. I think I'm gonna do my big piece next, the swan lady. Thank you for watching. Feel free to join along to see how the rest of this collection turns out.